Part 2. Being Sho- bring goodness gracious, I'm sorry. Being Prince Shoto's personal maid was difficult, but Izuku helped me forget my hardships when I'm with him. Haven't lucky today has one of those rare vacation days. I haven't gosh dang it. I haven't had one in a long time, so I decided to visit to pay respects to Queen Ray's grave. Before Endeavor married his way into the throne, it was Queen Ray who ruled the kingdom. She was sweet, kind, and gentle queen. I used to be her maid when I was younger. Sadly, she passed away from an illness. So her burial ground was placed a bit travel out of the kingdom underneath a beautiful tree. Sadly, by the time I managed to arrive by foot, it was sadly sunset. So I made it this quick. As I got closer, I could see a large pillar of ice, tons of burn streaks on the ground, and lots of umbra holes. What in the world happened here? I wondered as I got closer to the gravesite. I sat in front of the grave in a respectful bow. Sadly, no one came to this grave anymore when the umbra started to appear here suddenly. I was surprised that this place hasn't been destroyed yet. What are you doing here? Asked a familiar cold voice. Your Highness, I squealed in surprise, turning to see the one and only Prince Shoto. I was here to pay my respects, I said simply. Do you really think I believe that? Many people come here to pretend they care just to get close to me. Even Charlotte did this. He sneered. So I would appreciate it if you stopped soiling my mother's grave and leave. I had enough of this high horse. Get over yourself. I once served the queen, and I will come here to pay her my respects, because she is everything you and Endeavor failed miserably at. I spat. How dare you? Shoto snarled. You know nothing about my family. You're right, I don't know everything, but I am aware of how awful Endeavor is. The queen would vent to me about how awful he was, because she didn't really have anyone else to talk to. But just because her life situation sucked doesn't justify how you act and treat others. I vented, but the prince just kind of glared at me. If I did, then I would have every reason to be a hateful person. And why would that be? He dared ask with an empathetic look in his face. Maybe if you stopped and actually looked around, you'd learn things or notice things. Anyways, what are you doing out here? It's almost dark, I asked him. I could ask the same thing, but I came here to keep my mother's grave safe from the umbras, he said as he leaned against the ice pillar. So that's why he always flies off near night. He comes here to keep his mother's grave safe. The poor guy. He must miss her greatly. I quickly digged through my bag and pulled out the crystallized flutter flower. Infusing it with my magic, it started to glow brightly, lighting up the whole grave site. What is that? The prince asked as he covered his eyes. This will keep your mother's grave safe, I answered as I placed the light over the tombstone. Not even my father's hottest flames can take down an umbra. How is a ball of light going to protect anyone? He asked. It kept me alive this long, I said as I started taking my leave. Oh, by the way, for a person who shouts they are going to be nothing like their father, you're doing a pathetic job of that, I added. Shoto watched her leave, a travel back to the kingdom's darkness slowly consuming the land. Soon it was dark, but the light kept the area around the grave brightly lit. He readied himself and waited for any surprise attacks. Suddenly, the ground shook and the Umbra shot out of the ground, shorting their drill-like teeth. Shoto readied his fire magic, only for the monster to screech in pain as it entered the light's radius. It quickly submerged back into the ground, just as fast as it came. As the night went on, the Umbra never came close to the light. They remained just outside the edge of the light. It was an interesting night. Why did Bakugo beat you up again? Yin asked her friend as she cleaned her friend's wings. I don't know. He just was really competent today, I guess. Izuku sighed as he let his friend tend to his cuts and scrapes. I thought I would have to worry about you hurting yourself. Now I have to worry about Bakugo possibly killing one day. Yin sighed as she put bandages on Izuku's scratches. But have a good day. Have a good day, Yin said as they left the medical wing. Good luck with the prince, Izuku said as he gave her a quick hug. With a sigh, Yin made her way to the prince's chambers. Princess Shoto was already awake and was writing something. Good morning, Yin, he said, simply turning his face to her. Oh, good morning, Your Highness, Yin greeted in surprise. It's good to see you unharmed. The light you created protected me like you said, he said with a tiny smile as he turned his back to his work. Yin was surprised by the prince's sudden change. It wasn't too drastic. Well, he still wasn't much of a talker. He only fell back into his old habits for a while. After a bad talk with his father, other than that, Shoto was just more pleasant to be around. He would slow down for her at times, but sometimes help her get to any place. As Yin started to blow out the prince's candles for the night, the prince stopped for a minute. The prince laid in his bed, but was staring out into the window of the dark forest beyond. I can see your glowing crystal from here, though it looks like a tiny star this far away, he said, though he didn't turn to look at you. Yin could only feel some sort of sorrow behind his words, so she happily accepted his apology. How long will the magic last? Shoto asked. What magic? Yin asked, slightly confused. The magic light you made. Magic like that will fade eventually. How long till it loses its glow? As Shoto asked, turning to you. As long as I'm healthy and alive, Yin said softly. Yin, I'm sorry for how I behaved during the time you served me. He apologized as he sat up on his bed. Shame shone what seen on his soiled face. It's all right, Your Highness. It's Prince Shoto from now on. I requested that you become my permanent maid starting tomorrow, he interrupted. With a quick laugh, Yin slowly helped the prince back onto the bed and blew out the candles. Could you make me one of those crystal lights? He asked sleepily. With a smile, Yin focused as she formed a small crystal ball between her hands, the size of an apple, approximately. It started to glow rapidly as she held it over to Prince Shoto. Good night, Prince Shoto, Yin whispered. It was another simple day as Yin traveled along the large vines as she ran the halls of the castle. It was large and thick enough for her to walk on. She was taking the trays and plates to the kitchen to be washed when suddenly she was pushed off and crashed on the floor a couple feet down. A loud thump and crash echoed out the room. Yin slowly pushed her through her pain as she sat up and started to collect the plates. The giggles of fairies could be heard behind her. How, I'm surprised that you even survived this long in the castle and out in the wilds. Most defects like you would have died by now. One of them laughed. like that weird toga girl with the only one wing. She was creepy. How she stalked the captain guard Midoriya. She didn't. She didn't see that Umbra coming. Another added. Yet how you lasted this long must be mysterious. Oh my gosh. Extends no magic or beautiful wings to make you stand out, and yet here you are wobbling your way up the ranks, a beautiful fairy noble said. And by the way, you can picture however you want. There is a picture here, but I am too lazy to transfer it to this. I'm so sorry. Lady Marine, I'm sorry, I didn't see you there. You apologize to the higher rank fairy. Sorry, I think my thing cut out, so I'm just going to read this again. Lady Marine, I'm sorry, I didn't see you there. You apologize to the higher rank fairy. You see, when Endeavor took control, he made a class system where fairies with powerful is somewhere higher and more important than those who don't. Someone like Yin would be the bottom just for having no wings. Yin never freely shown her special magic, so most claim she was powerless. The main reason Yin is such a low rank, even if she did, most would see it as a pretty useless power. Pretty, but useless. You better. Any higher, you would have been a goner. Maybe you should use your wings to save you. Oh, wait, Marine laughed. Lately, you have been overstepping your boundaries. I've noticed that something's changed in the prince lately. He's been softer to you lately, and made you his personal maid. Also, you seem close to the king's personal guard, Midoriya. Trying to boost your status, are we? Marine asked with a sick sweetness in her voice. Marine grabbed Yin by her jaw and forced her to look up at Marine's cold eyes. Listen closely. Fairies like the prince, Midoriya, and I are higher rank and more important for a reason. Endeavor had the right idea for the strong to marry others who are strong, so they can make more strong fairies to protect the kingdom. But if fairies like you start getting in the way, you will weaken the kingdom. So you need to stay with people of your rank. We protect the kingdom and keep our kind can show our gratitude by serving us, Marine said with a smile. So, know your place, she snarled. By the way, there will be a part 3, and I think, yes, that will be the last part until you get to pick either Midoriya or Shoto, and then I'm going to give you just a little tiny part on what we're going to be doing next. It has Bakugo in it, but it also has Deku in it. And then, goodness gracious, you guys are going to have fun because I have a lot. Because my friend at the beginning of this did not make a bunch of Bakugo ones, and then when it got to the lower part, she made a ton of Bakugo ones. So you guys are having some good tea with the Bakugo because it's coming soon, just to let you know. Most of the Bakugo ones are kind of mixed in with some other people, but yeah. Also, I do have how would I say this? There is a Hunger Games part on this for Class 1A, and I'm very excited to get to that part. And so yeah. And then that's it, and then we'll go on to the Fantasy AU book 2. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed, and sorry for this I don't know how long, but like a minute talk. And so I'm planning on doing yanderis next. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this, and toodles.